All right, hello there, and welcome back to Food Chain Wars. In this episode, we're going to do it. We're going to have the talk, the AI talk.
And oh no, not today.
We're doing it today. There's going to be more to come because I feel like even for me, I'm kind of just getting immersed into the whole world, and it's been a lot of fun. What we thought we'd do today with this episode is just share some examples of how we're using AI and ChatGPT inside of our business to just make us get work done faster and automate ourselves. And then I know this is going to be an evolving topic. There will be future episodes I know where we'll reference some new things that we're finding because everything is moving super fast right now. If you're new to the show, Food Chain Wars, this is a show where we talk about and share our experience of growing a multi-7-figure farm-to-fork direct marketing business. We talk about things like focusing on e-commerce, going direct to consumer, business, marketing. But really, the whole goal is just to unpack lessons and mistakes that we're learning along the way so you don't have to fall in those same pitfalls. Today, Blaine, we're getting into AI. So what I thought we would do as a fun way to get into this is I've made a very short list, I think, of 7 use cases that I know either I have tried or someone else here in the business has tried using to improve, basically just using AI to elevate and get more done with your time. I've heard some folks reference ChatGPT and what's going on with AI right now is just basically like, if you think about yourself in the workforce, is everyone just got their own personal assistant.
Yeah.
So when you think about use cases of what can I use this for, that's where you need to be thinking of it. And I think the worry that's going on right now, I'm obviously not an expert in this world at all, but the worry that's going on with AI and ChatGPT replacing you, that definitely is not something I think anyone has to worry about if you're actually embracing it right now and figuring out, okay, the technology and just really making it part of your everyday flow because it's going to just elevate people.
Yeah, something I was really confused at the beginning with AI. It's like, especially with like something like ChatGPT, it's like, how can a AI engine go write an article that I'd actually send to my customers? There's no way it's going to know me well enough, our farm, our philosophies, our beliefs well enough to do that. And I was getting it all wrong. It's like, it's not supposed to replace 100% of my effort in writing an article. But as I got into it, I realized, holy crap, this thing can shorten my time in creating an article and actually inspire me, help me learn as I write this article. And I can do it in a quarter of the time, and the article is twice as good.
Yeah. It still takes your input, your creativity, and your work, but you can get things done faster and you can create better results. That was my
It's
conclusion.
leveraging your own knowledge already.
So, and if any of this is new to you, ChatGPT is what they call a large language learning model and built by a company called OpenAI, which is backed by Microsoft. And they've been releasing several updates of it now. I think ChatGPT is out, 4 is out now, and they're
you just want to
working on
give
5.
like a common example, like for someone who doesn't know, like, well, what the heck does it do?
So basically, it's literally they have built an AI system that's been trained on the data of the internet over like a certain time period. I think it's like a 3-year range time period where it's basically just been learning by just ingesting a bunch of data that's out there on the internet that we've all contributed to as a society and culture, and have used that to basically create a chat interface where you can actually communicate with the AI model, give it some prompts and questions and it will respond to you. The thing that actually makes it, I think, the most powerful and the most that makes it so much different than Google is that it has I forget there's a term for it, but it has contextual memory, meaning that you can have a dialogue with it, so it will remember your prompt from before, so you can ask it to. So let's just go through my first time using it, because I was hearing everybody talk about it. I was like, all right, what's all this buzz? I'm sure this will go away. It wasn't going away. I'm like, all right, I just gotta try this thing. And very rarely does a technology come along where you try it for the first time and I'm like, whoa, like mind blown. And
Same
I
here.
instantly know that this tool will be a part of my everyday work life. Like it just will be a part of what I use every single week.
It's a breakthrough.
So my first use case was I got on there and I heard that people were using it to write code. And that was one of the ones I was super skeptical
Software
about.
code, you're saying?
Yes, because I am not a software developer. I can do a little bit of HTML and CSS, just enough to be dangerous, but I always have to research what tag I'm looking for and stuff. But I understand a high level understanding of how that stuff works. So I'm playing with it every now and then. So I'm like, okay, let's see if it can make me better at writing code. So I just asked it to create a customer testimony widget using HTML and CSS as the code, because I knew those were the only 2 languages I could use for our website. And I gave it some parameters on what it should look like, but especially 3 testimony cards stacked in a row. and it just started writing the code. And I copy and pasted that into our website just on a test page to see if it would work. And the moment of truth, and boom, there it was on the website. It looked great. It looked better than the standard widget that we had been using for a while. There were some things that were wrong, but that's what would then help me realize how powerful it was, because there was definitely things that were wrong and that I wanted to change. And then I could just continue the conversation. I'm like, great, okay, respond and give another prompt. That looks good. Now can you make it to where when you hover over the testimony widget, it'll be collapsible and expand. So that way it has a character limit where it'll just collapse. And then if you hover over it, it'll expand. Because that's one thing when you get testimonies that on your website, they're all like different sizes and they don't look very symmetrical and stuff. And so boom, I asked it to do that, and then it did it. And it took several prompts back and forth. I had to work with it probably 20 minutes or so to get what I wanted. But the thing was, by the end, I spent a bunch of time on it. But I produced something that I never could have produced on my own before.
So it's a helper. Just think of it as a helper.
A helper, and it elevated my ability. So that's an example of where it didn't necessarily make me faster at something. It literally elevated my ability to create something that I really would not have ever created on my own from scratch.
Yeah. Brooks, can I share an example? So you finally inspired me, because I'm like, okay, this sounds good. But we were actually in a vision board meeting the other day, and we were talking about the topic of the mRNA vaccines. That if you're in this world, you're getting a lot of customers asking, "Are you using this vaccine?" And so we thought it'd be good to come up with an article that we could put out to our customers about the topic. And we were really inspired by another farm that had written an article already. And Brooks, you said, "Hey, as a starting point, I can just tell ChatGPT to go read that other farm's article and write a different article from the perspective of Seven Sons Farms as a farmer." And that's literally what you told ChatGPT to do. And it went out, it read that other farm's article, and then it produced a completely different and unique, using the term Seven Sons Farms and using it from our perspective. And it was a great starting point. Again, it wasn't a finished article, but it put me 2 hours ahead by just doing that one thing.
Yeah, and like writing the prompts definitely is a skill. There's lots of courses and training it's already out there that you can go to start learning how to write prompts and how to have these dialogues to produce the results that you want. But rarely does the technology come along that you kind of just instantly realize this is powerful and I want to dig deeper. So with ChatGPT and OpenAI, they actually have an API that they're training this large language model where a lot of other companies are going to hook into it to build very specific use case products out there. I know one of them that we use is a platform called Descript. It's basically something for video creators and podcasters to basically be able to create transcriptions of video, where you upload the video, it'll transcribe it right away. And I know there's lots of tools that can do that, but they actually even have technology too, where they've got like a model that will actually listen to the audio and can actually learn your voice. And if you mess up in the video, this is how crazy this is all getting. They have this feature called overdub, where you can take a word that you maybe said wrong, or if you got a fact wrong, and you can actually just go to transcription, change what you said, and it will just it'll create audio based off of learning and hearing your voice. And it feels like magic, but it's crazy where this stuff is going. So those are obviously, you might not be seeing exactly how you can take use cases like that back into your business. But a few other things that are super obvious that I know we're going to be using right away, and for anyone who's listening. And if you go deep into ChatGPT, I know this is like a rabbit hole you can go into. We want to hear everyone's idea in the comment section below. What are your use cases for how you're using ChatGPT right now, or AI? But product descriptions is a super obvious one. If you're using Grace Cart or selling anything online, boy, I just know that for most of our clients, products live out there with probably no descriptions or
very limited.
And if they do, it's limited, or it's just a copy paste from someone else's product description out there, which actually doesn't really help you. It definitely doesn't help that other person, because now you're competing for the same keywords and stuff. You actually need your descriptions to have somewhat of a unique voice and tone to them. So, but I know when you sit down to write those product descriptions, you're in the middle of a day, you're at a new product, you got 1,000 things on your to-do list. The last thing you want to do is get creative and come up with an original description.
Yeah, because when you're adding that product, you're in the left or right brain, and then you have to go to the other side of your brain to start writing the creative product description. You'll never do that. So that's why we all have products out there with no product descriptions.
Yes, and this one's great. I mean, there's so much information on the internet that something like ChatGPT would be trained on when it comes to recipes and grilling and food. So its ability to come with great product descriptions, and it's really good. And you gotta, again, you gotta write the prompt for, okay, this is grass-fed beef. Write a product description for a grass-fed New York strip steak. And I know I tried something like that. And what's awesome on there is you can even tell it, okay, highlight the benefits and include one recipe, and it's going to do that. And when it highlights the benefits, like, that's the things that I was like, okay, there's no way it's actually.
When you say one recipe, you don't mean a full recipe. Like include a couple dish ideas. Basically, some inspiration for cooking.
I'm sure you can go a lot of different angles, and it's going to create really good results. Because I know every angle that I tried, I was super happy with. There might have been one or two things that I would have changed, but nothing that you had to change. So product descriptions is super obvious. I know for customer service, we've been using it even on the Grace Cart side of things already for just customer support when it comes to, responding to a challenging email that came through, where you got to get a little bit creative, you got to have empathy in there. Or we have used it to actually summarize really long emails that we've gotten from people.
Do you want clients to know that like some of the responses?
I'm just telling them it's going to happen. One day there's just going to be a bunch of AI bots talking to each other online from different businesses. It can be really good at summarizing, not just an email. This is an example that we're using, but you can have it summarize articles or something you're trying to learn. But there was an example of just this week where someone sent us a really long email, and it was a little hard to follow and stuff. So what we did is we just had ChatGPT, hey, summarize this in an easy way to understand. And I know some people use prompts like explain it to like you're explaining a 7-year-old, and it was super helpful. It made it much more clean, put it in a nice, organized, thought through order. Newsletter copy. I know Chad on our team, who's in charge of digital marketing. I mean, you made the mRNA example there of that newsletter or article that you were working on.
Yep.
So not even just from the copywriting inspiration of giving you a starting place, but the research side of it.
That was actually, I did that with the mRNA article because I wanted to add a couple of FAQs in my articles. Like one was, will mRNA vaccines transfer through food consumption? So, I mean, that's a very technical answer. So I asked ChatGPT to explain that, and ChatGPT was pretty confident and this will not transfer, but I just added a few words to the sentences like those promoting mRNA technology claim that blah blah blah. Yep. So I just tweak it a little bit, and I did the same thing. What's the difference between mRNA and traditional vaccines? And so ChatGPT is really good at giving you technical responses that then you can just tweak in your own voice, and you're off to the races. I mean, it was really helpful writing this article. So I mentioned video transcriptions. Another example or an idea that you and I were just talking about before we hit record on this. We haven't done yet, but if you've created video content out there for your newsletter or communicating to your customers, or you have really good YouTube videos about what you do or soil health or any aspect of that, if you can have that get transcribed, you can take that transcription, copy and paste it into ChatGPT and have it write an SEO-rich article for you that you also put on your website and your blog. Because again, the video is great for your customers to maybe interact with and watch. But Google's not going to crawl that video and understand the context of what you talked about, so that's not helping you out when it comes to the SEO value or ranking effect of that. So this could be a really simple way to just get some SEO-rich content from content that you're already creating if you're leaning into video. Something I'd like to try is maybe a YouTube video that's really, really good, actually having a service transcribe. It doesn't even have to be my YouTube video, but have a transcription of a YouTube video and then ask ChatGPT to write an article and just try different things.
Yeah, the ability to streamline getting inspiration from other people out there, ChatGPT has made that a lot easier. I know one because this is all moving fast, and image generation stuff. AI is obviously contributing that. In fact, I know the art world, there's a lot of controversy there when it comes to, AI generating art that's learned from other people's pictures. Is that plagiarizing and stuff? But either way, things are moving forward there. And I know Brock uses a platform called, he does all of our creative design and branding, and he uses a platform called Lexica, I think it is. We'll put it in the name of the description there. But it's just an AI generation tool. And, something we've talked about on the show a lot is we produce these, if you're watching the video on YouTube, these monthly order guides, which are just inserts where we have a food photographer produce a recipe for us with really good photography, and then we include items in on the guide that they can buy that were included in the recipe. And I think we have kind of a full ordering guide on there for things related to whatever we're promoting for the month. But either way, so Brock's in charge of working with a professional food photographer to get this photography done, work ahead to make sure that it's done in time for our monthly promotions. They go inside of the orders and customers actually get these in their home. Well, when it comes to food photography, it's kind of be hard sometimes because this person's remote. He's trying to communicate with them to give them a vision of what he's looking for out of this photo that they're going to take of a certain recipe. And that's hard to give a vision either over the phone call or over email. And there's just a lot that can get lost in translation. It's kind of like a game of telephone for them to take your vision that you're describing, put it in kind of their mind and have an outcome. So what he's doing instead is he has Lexica generate an image of the shot that he's kind of looking for. So I know one he did was like, okay, it was a cottage bacon sub. So he's like, okay, show me cottage bacon and an overhead shot and a cast iron pan with ingredients around. And the AI produced image was really good for one thing. Not good enough. You can still tell it's not real.
Yeah.
So not good enough for you to actually use, although I'm sure some people will start doing that soon. But it created this awesome vision for him to give to the food photographer. And the actual image that came back was just right on point with what he was looking for. And he's super happy with the results. So that's a way where it's not, I mean, that's another way of not necessarily saving time, but increasing the results that you're getting using AI.
Yeah.
Any final examples that you have from your world or thoughts that you want to share when it comes to people embracing?
I've got a couple articles already in the works. I was on Understanding Ag website, so Gabe Brown and Alan Williams and the team there. Shane New wrote an article about the recent dust storms in Illinois, and so the article is called "Tragedy Above and Below the Ground." And I told ChatGPT, would you write a review on this article? My friend Shane New wrote it. So from that perspective, my friend wrote this article, and I'd like to give you the highlights. And sure enough, ChatGPT gave me a great starting point.
Yeah.
So that's an article that's in the works. Another example, just beyond some of the recent AI developments, Brooks, is I've been using Grammarly, a service called Grammarly that takes my writing. I'm not the best writer to get everything technically accurate with all the grammar. Grammarly makes me look really, really good. And I've been using Grammarly for a couple of years now, and it's amazing how much better their AI engine is getting. Like these improvements are happening fast.
Because OpenAI has made what they're doing public and produced it to release it to public. I think it was the fastest platform to get 1 million users. I think they did in like a day or something like that. It's moving everything else. Competitions, they're calling it the AI wars because Google. This is something that can really disrupt Google's main business, which is search. Because if you can get a lot of answers that you would normally go to Google for through a chat AI interface,
and that's already happening for me. I'm using Google Less now.
Yeah, and Google's swinging back right now. They're building out their model right now. They call it Bard. I think it's just available. Actually, I got us early access to it. So I think the big thing with theirs is trained on up to date. It's connected to the internet, so the information's up to date that it's trained on. So obviously, guys, this is going to move quick. There's a lot of things that we talked about even today. There's going to be a gray kind of ethical line that everyone kind of has to consider when it comes to plagiarizing and getting inspiration from other people. So there's definitely the biggest thing I would encourage is, yes, this can make things go faster for you and help you produce better results, but put your creativity into how you're using the tool. When I think about it is like when I go to sit down and write an email, a lot of times I will turn to my favorite newsletter or somebody else to look at what's their structure of the newsletter and just get inspiration. And to me, I think the ethical line is, well, can you use ChatGPT and AI to automate really just make that inspiration more efficient. So there's going to be that ethical line there.
But don't dismiss it. Just don't dismiss it and say it's not for me. That's what I did when I first heard about it. It's like, I don't have time to learn something new. And then Brooks, you gave me some nice little nudges. I'm like, wow, I'm glad you did.
That's the beautiful thing of this is that there's such low hanging fruit. Like we mentioned the product description and stuff. There's such low hanging fruit. The learning curve on some really easy wins is just so low.
Yeah.
It's silly to not start using it. And then once you do start, you're going to start finding so many other ways that you can just make your life easier utilizing this tool. So again, we're talking about this kind of real time as we're kind to get our team using it and adopt it in different ways. And we're going to find and it's going to move fast. So we're going to find other use cases. So we'll be talking about this again in the future. So know that another AI update and talk is coming. But we hope you guys appreciate this video. Like we mentioned before, let us know in the comment section how you're utilizing AI. I'd like to hear some fun use cases. There's actually a really funny one if you want to give your team a good laugh. So Brant figured out that you can have ChatGPT write something using the voice of like a fictional character. So he had it like respond to a customer's email that he was trying to type up a response to using the voice of Sauron from Lord of the Rings. And it's the most comical thing. It's so funny the way that it comes up.
Or you could respond to this with the voice of Darth Vader.
Yoda. It's hilarious. So if you want to give yourself a good laugh, have it rewrite your About Us page using the voice of Sauron. And I promise you, it's going to be funny if you're a Lord of the Rings fan. So go do that. We really appreciate you guys listening to the episode and supporting the show. If you're new and you enjoy the content, please leave us a review. That's kind of the best way you can help us get this content out in front of more farms who are trying to do what we're trying to do. So leave us a review. We'd really appreciate that. And we'll talk to you guys next time.
Adios.